So, in life, you're lucky to have a few good friends. In my life, I met Dathan when I was in 6th grade at Powell. So we became really, really good friends really fast. It was mainly due to the fact that we were the two shortest people in the school. I would say Dathan and I grew up together, but Dathan stopped growing a lot longer before I did. So as I previously stated, I do not live in Jackson. As a matter of fact, I just flew in for the event tonight, and I'm flying out at 6 in the morning. And normally, I do not celebrate other people's birthdays, other than my mom, my dad, my mother-in-law, and my sisters. Have too many nieces and nephews. I just really can't get into all of that. But Dathan, he sung in my wedding, and he sung this song that he said was 15 minutes. And it probably was about 15 minutes, but, he kind of forgot the words as he was singing. And so I figured today was the best time as any so I could get him back for messing up during my wedding. So I told my wife I was going to come to Dathan's 30th birthday party, and she really didn't have a problem with it at all. She even gave me permission to bring my 7-month-old daughter with me. So now I know this is something really special, that Dathan's the only man I know that my wife would allow me to bring my baby to his birthday party. So that's saying something. And I know I'm not the only person who had this thought, because when I looked at the sign-in sheet, somebody out X out, can I bring my baby? So Dathan's kind of special in that way. So when I was asked to do this, I kind of really didn't know what to talk about. So I'm going to tell some stories from different points of our lives. And so it's going to kind of be different from what you heard before, but you'll see that it kind of makes some sense. Like, I've known Dathan since the 6th grade, like I said, and we are something we made up. We are spit brothers, right? So it's kind of like blood, but it's not blood, but it's with spit. So, and so he walks out on that. So don't really ask, but that's my spit brother right there. So ever since I met Dathan and I started finding out more about his family, I have 4 sisters, he has 4 brothers. So I was like, oh, that must be a great thing to have 4 brothers. Then I met his brothers, and I kind of prefer my sisters to them. When we were in English class in the 7th grade, Dathan had a problem with talking. He really could not stop talking. It was so much of a problem that she moved my desk and his desk. We couldn't sit with the rest of the class. We had special seats. My desk was at her desk. His desk was at the chalkboard. And so even this wouldn't get him to shut up at all. So basically, she moved Dathan behind the door. So Dathan spent 7th grade in Ms. Reed's class behind the door because he couldn't stop talking. And in one day in particular, we were having a discussion about the fact that Dathan could sing, which I didn't believe. So if you've known Dathan long enough, it was a time when Dathan would not sing. And I'm glad someone brought up that Mississippi Mass Choir video, because that's the video somebody brought to school, the VCR tape, to show us, to prove that Dathan could sing. And so we were sitting there watching this tape, and the guy looked like Dathan, he sounded like Dathan, but Dathan denied it to the end. He said, that's not me, I cannot sing, just leave me alone. So I really didn't learn Dathan could sing till a lot later in my life. So I left Jackson in 1994, so I basically lived in the same town with Dathan for only 3 years. And so being that it was 1994, I didn't really talk to Dathan much at all. But I did come back down for the graduation in 98. So I rode back down to see a lot of my friends graduate. And this was the first time in a while I saw Dathan. Being that we didn't communicate as much, because you made a phone call back then, your parents paid long distance, so it really wasn't much communication. So I had all these high plans of what I was going to do when I get back to see Dathan again, and we're going to party, and we're going to make up for all this lost time that I missed by moving away. See, I got to turn the page. Hold up. See, I kind of have to control what I say. So if I don't read what I say, it'll be a lot worse. So, basically, I was like, Dathan, what we gonna do? where we gonna go? I haven't been to Jackson in like 4 years. We gotta go do something. So just to make it really short, I ended up really disappointed because I drove in the car for 9 hours to hang out, and I just ended up sitting in Dathan's house the whole weekend. So, you know, Dathan and I both went to college at the same time. We both happened to be in the marching band. I went to Florida A&M. I was in the Marching 100, and he was in Sonic Boom. My freshman year in the band, if anybody's ever marched in the band and kind of understands what a freshman year is like, we actually played against Jackson State my freshman year. And I actually said I hadn't seen Dathan in a while, so I was like, I'm going to go talk to my friend on the field. Well, you know, I talked to him, and it really didn't end up good for me that night, I'll just say. But, and people in the band get that joke. If you don't, so before Dathan started dating Ariane, we had tons of conversations about her. Now, to be honest, I was kind of opposed to it just because he was in college and she was in middle school. To me, it was just really weird. So early on, I told him he had to at least wait till she turned 18 because then it would not be as creepy. I told him just because he looked young didn't mean he was young. And I'm glad they got married because Dathan is happy. Or at least that's what he tells me when he's sitting next to her in the room. We're talking on the phone. So more recently, you know, we're both married and we both have kids, but we actually talk about marriage and life. And so these are some very interesting questions. In February, I was coming down the day, and I was trying to find someone to pick me up from the airport, and I called everybody I knew, and basically the last person I called was Dathan. Dathan said he'd come down to pick me up from the airport and hang out. Now, I had never really hung out with Dathan like this since the disappointing visit around high school graduation. So I'm in New Orleans with Dathan, walking around Bourbon Street. Now, I ended up having the most fun possible sober while we were walking in the rain, listening to him to talk to everyone he saw. It was embarrassing. If you ever walk down Bourbon Street and you're with someone who stops every single person and tries to hold a conversation, it's just something. And not only that, I had never in my life heard a grown man say, "Oh my God." But he doesn't say, "Oh my God." And I can't do it because I never heard a grown man say it. I want Dathan to tell you what he said. "Oh my God." Like, "OMG. Hi. OMG. Wow, I like your shirt. OMG. Oh, look at your shoes. It looks like it's throw up. OMG." While we're walking on Bourbon Street. And, you know, the funny thing is that I didn't get to stay in New Orleans the overnight because my wife was 9 months pregnant and was going to slow, so I had to leave very early, actually that night. So right before I left, Dathan was sleeping in the room, and it was like 4 in the morning, and I was like, well, I got to leave. But I didn't wake him up, right? So I kind of left him asleep in the room because I had to get my flight, and this is the first time I've seen him since I left him in the room in New Orleans by himself, unbeknownst that I wasn't there when he was to wake up. And so I'm really happy to see that he made it home safe.
Clap for that.